So let's just jump right in. How do we make sense of the world around us? It really all comes down to stories. You've got the stories we're told by, official sources. And then you have the stories we tell ourselves when those official versions just don't quite cut it. Today, we're going to look at how these two forces really shape what we call reality.
And it really all starts with a huge, fundamental question. What actually defines a person? Let's start by looking at one man's story, at least the way the system tells it.
Here's where it begins, the first layer of an official identity. For a man named David Russell Parker, his entire complex life starts getting flattened into a simple data point. In this case, it's just a number on a court document.
And then you get the next layer. From that same legal file, a label is stamped on him. A label that carries a ton of legal weight and consequences. Officially, he is now categorized as an incapacitated person.
Then a different system gets involved, which means a different file. This one's from a child support document, and it gives us yet another label. A whole complicated, probably emotional relationship with his child is just boiled down to this one bureaucratic status: non-custodial parent.
So, really? Is this it? A case number? A legal status? A parental designation? Just a stack of forms with blank spaces waiting to be filled in? Is a person just the sum of the paperwork they leave behind?
But look, this isn't just about one guy, David Parker. His case is a product of this huge, impersonal logic that exists in the systems that categorize all of us.
Take a look at this. It's a Freedom of Information Act log. See that column on the right? Withheld, 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 over and over. Real people with real questions are reduced to a control number, and the information they're looking for is just routinely denied. This is the system in action. It's logical, it's efficient, and it is very deliberately opaque.
So you have to ask, what's the purpose of all this secrecy and control? Well, there's one pretty radical theory from a lecture on the secret history of humanity that suggests it's all about keeping a much bigger economic illusion going. The argument is that scarcity is basically manufactured through something it calls artificial misery. It's this idea of a system designed by the powerful to make us think money is scarce and valuable, which forces us to work. So when that official story feels incomplete, or, maybe even feels like it's being dishonest, that's when people start looking for other explanations. They start trying to connect the hidden dots to find what they believe is a deeper truth. And wow, sometimes that search takes you to this. A quote from the prominent conspiracy theorist David Icke. The official narrative is that world leaders are just people. The counter-narrative, they're secretly shape-shifting lizards. I know it's a jarring shift, right? But that is exactly what can happen when trust in the system completely breaks down. And this really illustrates the method behind it. It's actually a structured process. As David Icke himself puts it, the key is to connect the dots. You take things that seem totally unrelated, banking, politics, weird global events, and you look for the hidden pattern. So this isn't just random guessing. It's an active process of building an alternative reality that, for some people, actually makes more sense than the official one. And this whole theme of hidden, powerful, non-human beings, it's surprisingly common. Here's a clip from the show Ancient Aliens, talking about reptilian humanoids coming out of a cave in Vietnam. So whether it's global elites or creatures from deep inside the Earth, the underlying story is the same. The world is not what it seems, and powerful forces are secretly in control. So why do people reject official labels? Why do they embrace these wild theories? Well, it often comes down to a really fundamental human need, the need to rewrite a narrative that feels dehumanizing and to reclaim a sense of your own dignity and connection. This quote from one of our sources just hits it right on the head. It was written about trying to help a cousin who was facing homelessness. When seeking help from the system means you're going to be labeled and judged, being vulnerable becomes a huge risk. The very system that's supposed to help can end up inflicting shame instead. And this is that reaction in its rawest form. A Facebook post just rejecting the whole linear thinking and categorizing races or sexes or even religions. It's this personal, passionate plea to just stop focusing on all the differences and instead find the shared connection we have. This is a real person rewriting their own narrative, pushing back hard against the system's boxes.
So, this brings us right to the heart of the matter. We are all constantly navigating between two very, very different ways of making sense of the world around us. On one side, you have the official narrative. It's built on logic, order, and systems, right? It's what produces the case files and the official records. But on the other side, you have the alternative narrative, and that's all about a search for meaning, for connection, for secrets. It offers a hidden truth that explains everything the official files leave out.
And that leads to the biggest idea of all. That secret history lecture we mentioned started with an idea from the philosopher Immanuel Kant, that we can never really know objective reality. That, quote, reality is what we imagine it to be. Now, if that's true, then these clashing narratives, they aren't just stories. They are acts of creation. Which leaves us with a final and pretty vital question to think about. What reality are we creating?